Masechet Pesachim. We are in Chaf Chet Amud Aleph. We are at the Mishnah at the bottom of the page. Chametz shenochi shavar alav Pesach. If you have chametz of a goy that goy kept his chametz on Pesach, you're allowed to eat and benefit from a goyish chametz after Pesach. There's no problem. There's no problem for him doing chametz. V'shel Yisrael asur be'ana. However, which we spoke about yesterday, you got to be very careful, especially in Eretz Yisrael, when you're going to buy chametz after Pesach. If the Jew did not sell his store, it's asur behana'ah. You're not allowed to benefit from it. Ever. And the stories about Tshuva did Tshuva, and they had like a lot of stock, and they had to burn the whole stuff. Burn it, no selling it in the garbage, in the oceans, get rid of it.
What's the difference in the Chutz La'aretz and the Aretz?
There's no difference. It's just in Eretz Yisrael. Here, you don't have a lot of Jewish-owned stores that are selling kosher food. Right? So if you're going to a kosher place, he's shomer mitzvot, and he's there, everything is kosher. So the products are all kosher, but the guy could be a chinoni in Tel Aviv. So he has all kinds of chametz. You're buying Tel Aviv crackers.
By the way, that was one of the things. I did not believe how many times I had to ask for Ashgacha, and they were telling me Patuach Shabbat.
Yeah.
Everywhere, many places. Like
Yeah.
it was.
Don't forget, there even the government requires hechsher, so it's not it can't be trusted unless you know it's a real valid hechsher. Here we're much different because if you don't want to, people do whatever they want over here. But there's no Jewish stores that are selling chametz here. It's a goyish store. Ajay is a goyish store. Just started, John. It's a goyish store, so you go there to buy. There's no problem to buy. The only one I think we have a problem is like a guy in the corner over here. He's open Shabbat. He's selling kosher products, but he's not selling his chametz on Pesach. You can't buy from him. So that's what we're saying. It's a sur be'ana, and there's stories of people did tshuva. They actually burnt up thousands of dollars of merchandise in order to mekayem the aracham. How do we know? What's amazing over here is that it's only the Rabbanan we're going to see. Even though it's bring a pasuk, it is the Rabbanan. Okay? So basically what we have right now is chametz of a Jew that was owned during Pesach and was not disposed of during Pesach is a sur be'ana after Pesach. The Gemara says that our Mishnah
for how long is it?
Forever. So that's not pashut. That's why buying in an airport some kosher product is okay. Buying in Eretz Yisrael by a Jewish owned, over here by a Jewish owned company, kosher products that was not sold on Pesach that he owned during Pesach, you're not allowed to buy. That's why it's not so pashut. That's why it's not pashut.
How do you know after, during the year, if you buy something?
Well, you can see on the first of all, there's products that are new, right? Products that just came out. So you can see on the dates, if you know how to look at the codes and see when it was prepared, there's ways to know, even for Yashan and Chadash, there's ways which we're going to have to learn about soon because it's starting now. There's ways to look on the barcode to see the dates. There's codes to understand when the production one was. So if the production was after Pesach, it's no problem. But if it's something that's on a life shelf, today they put chemicals inside, they can put life shelf for 6 months. So you're buying a Danish or crackers that's been there for a long time, it's not so pashut. So you have to be careful. So if you're unsure, buy something shackle. Buy something that's not a mizanot. Money, the Gemara says, money matnitin. Lo Rabbi Yudah, velo Rabbi Shimon, velo Rabbi Yossi.
It's only about mezonot?
Anything that is chametz.
Everything that has wheat in it.
Anything that is chametz. Okay, so our Mishnah is not Rabbi Yehuda, is not Rabbi Shimon, and not Rabbi Yossi Agdini. Ditanya. Mai Ditanya. We know, again, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, when he wrote a Mishnah, he didn't put an author. There's no author in our Mishnah. And we know the opinions of the Tanaim from another Braita. We know those opinions. It's funny that we have not found any opinion of our Mishnah in the Braita. So we're going to go through the Braita. Now we're not even going to finish this today, but we're going to go through a Braita to see 3 shitot in the Arachot of Chametz before Pesach and after Pesach. Mai, Ditanya, Chametz ben nifnei zmano, ben nachaz zmano over alav belav. So let's say before Pesach, and let's say after Pesach, meaning the 6 hours, the Erev Pesach, the last 6 hours. Like we said a few weeks ago, that after Chatzot Yom on the 14th of Nisan, the Chametz is asur to eat, right? That whole day it's asur to eat. Is that a lo ta'aseh or it's not a lo ta'aseh? Is there makot if you eat that? If a guy eats a Danish after 1 o'clock on Erev Pesach, is that get makot or doesn't get makot? Here it says, it's a lav ben nifnei ben nachari. Chametz that even was over at Rabba Pesach, it's even a lav, you even get makot on it after Pesach as well. So that's what it says over here. Ben nachazmano, ben ifnei zmano, ben nachazmano, over alav belav. Toch zmano, during Pesach, over alav belav, v'karet. You get a lav, a lo ta'aseh, makot, and you get a karet. That is what a person gets according to Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So you guys got it? Shitat Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, that before Pesach, after Pesach is a lo ta'aseh. Lo ta'aseh means there is makot, there is lashes. Of course, if a person's warned with two witnesses and he's brought to the Beit Din. And during Pesach, it's a karet and a lav. Good? The Gemara says, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Chametz nifnei zmano, ulachar zmano, eno over alav belo klum. There is no lo ta'aseh. The 6 hours before Pesach, Chatzot Yom De'alach on Erev Pesach, and after Pesach, there's no lav. Tosfot explains that it doesn't mean they're allowed to eat it. We don't eat it. But it's not a lo ta'aseh. I'll explain. A lo ta'aseh will get lashes. You can have a prohibition of doing something, but it's not worded in a lo ta'aseh. It's a lav aban michlal aseh. If I tell you, get rid of your chametz, it means don't eat chametz. But I never said don't eat chametz. I never said it. I said it on Pesach. But I never said don't eat chametz on the day before. Since we learned that there's an extra word over tashbitu, ach b'yom rishon tashbitu, so it means get rid of the chametz. So get rid of the chametz, you can't eat it. So if you can't eat it, you're not to eat it, but it's not a lo ta'aseh, meaning it's forbidden, but there's no punishment. You know, you get pulled over by the cops. He could give you a ticket or give you a warning. You're not allowed to burn the red. But he gave you he didn't let you off the hook, or he can give you a punishment. You can have an isser with no makot. So that's Shitat Tosfot in Rabbi Shimon, that it's asur, but it's not a lav. Okay? And after Pesach as well, there's no problem. And during Pesach, Tor Zmano over alav bikaret ubelav maaseh. Ubelav. So during Pesach, it's a karet and a lav. So far, so good?
What are we talking about after Pesach?
Because a whole mission over here wants to know, what do we do with chametz shavar alav Pesach? Chametz that you kept during Pesach.
So you can have anah.
Well, our Mishnah says no hana'ah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all it says. It doesn't say makot. Okay? Here we're bringing Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, that there's makot. Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, there's no problem. So it's not Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, it's not Rabbi Yehuda, because there it says just can't have hana'ah. But it's not saying anything else. And it sounds like it's just a D'Rabbanan. We're going to see. But let's forget about our Mishnah for a second. Let's get these Shittas and then try to plug in the Mishnah. Shitta number one is, everybody agrees during Pesach it's a karet and a lav. And there's a machlok Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon that you can eat it before Pesach for Rabbi Yehuda, but it's no makot. Rabbi Yehuda says there is makot. And after Pesach for Rabbi Shimon, there's no issue at all. You're good to go. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's a lo ta'aseh. You get makot if you eat after Pesach. So far, so good. Ubela. Mishat asur b'achila, asur b'ana'ah. Oh. And the time that it's asur b'achila, Erev Pesach, only Erev Pesach, it's asur b'hana'ah. Atan etanakama. That's Rabbi Yehuda. So we said Rabbi Yehuda, we said Rabbi Shimon, went back to Rabbi Yehuda. Even Rabbi Yehuda said you get makot before Pesach, it's also asur b'hana'ah on Erev Pesach. We didn't speak yet about after Pesach. So far, so good. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yossi Aglini, we already discussed Rabbi Yossi Aglini on page Chav Gimel. He said, Tameh al atzmecha, he'ach chametz asur b'hana'ah kol shiva. And Rabbi Yossi Aglini says, not at all. Not only chametz is mutter before Pesach, after Pesach, during Pesach you're allowed to own it and you're allowed to sell it. Just can't eat it. That's not the halacha, but there's opinion in the Tanaim that it's asur, it's only asur b'achila, not b'hana'ah. So far, so good. So really now we're going to discuss Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. The Gemara says, "Umenai nochel chametz mishesh shaot ulemana shover belo ta'aseh." So we said Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, it's a lo ta'aseh before Pesach. On Erev Pesach, 6 hours before the day, 6 hours before the nightfall. Shneimar lo tochal alav chametz divrei Rabbi Yehuda. I want to read the pasuk together with you. Please look in Torah Or Hashalem. We were speaking about Korban Pesach. Korban Pesach starts when? Chatzot Yom. You're going to be in Jerusalem, you're going to go there, you're going to buy your sheep, you're going to come, and you're going to come at 10 in the morning, I'm ready. Hey, sorry, it's only starting at 1 p.m. At 1 p.m., we're starting to do the Korban Pesach. We're busy, the Beit HaMikdash is working right now, you're going to be allowed in at 1, please wait outside over here. V'zavachta, the pasuk says, Pesach l'Hashem Elokecha. You will slaughter a Pesach, tzon u'bakar, b'makom asher b'chal Hashem, v'shaken shemo sham. This is amazing also. It doesn't say where it is. The place where God will choose. Who figured it out? David HaMelech. You understand that really, why did Hashem not say Jerusalem? Because if you really want to know what Hashem wants, it's teaching you here that you got to go to the tzaddik. The tzaddik, David HaMelech, he knows what Hashem wants. He knows the place of the Beit HaMikdash. He got to understand Hashem b'tachlit avana. V'lo tochal alav chametz. And here we're saying, where the Korban Pesach, it seems to say, lo tochal alav chametz. Don't eat chametz. Shivat yamim, tochal nada matzot. 7 days, eat matzot. We'll stop over there. So what do we see over here? We see Korban Pesach, don't eat chametz, eat matzot. Rabbi Yehuda says, look, it says Korban Pesach, it's at 1 p.m. And it says don't eat chametz. So the time that you're shechting the Korban Pesach, that's the time you can't eat chametz. Let's read that again. How does he know? U'minayin nichon chametz mishesh sha'ot u'mimar shu over ben lo ta'aseh shemar lo tochal alav chametz. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So it's a great thing. It says don't bring Korban Pesach. That's when you bring Korban Pesach. You can't have chametz. So it starts at that time, which is 1 p.m. Amar lo Rabbi Shimon v'ki efshar lomar ken. Do you think that's a good drasha? That's not good. והלא כבר נאמר לא תאכל עליו חמץ, 7 ימים תאכל עליו מצות. It says in the same pasuk, for 7 days eat matzot. So you want to say that the Korban Pesach is going to be, don't eat chametz, that the time you're shechting the Korban Pesach, it says eat matzot. Do you have a mitzvah to eat matzot from 1 p.m.? You have the mitzvah to eat matzot at night. So that's talking about not shechting the Korban Pesach, eating the Korban Pesach. And when it's the time to eat the Korban Pesach, you can't have chametz. So that means there's no problem to eating chametz, or there's no lo ta'aseh having the chametz for the half of the day after Chatzot Yom.
Why would they permit chametz during Pesach? That's my question.
Nobody permits.
No, you said before.
Rabbi Yehuda Yossi Haglili says he has a special shita,
Yeah, but
which
that's it.
is he says. We already discussed in page Chav Gimel the way he learns the psukim. He says that loch tochan means only lo tochan. We had a whole sugi over there. And when you say don't eat, it means also don't benefit. And Rabbi Yossi Haglili doesn't agree with that. He says you just can't eat it. Don't eat pork, but you can sell pork. Don't eat chametz, but you can sell chametz. So here we have Machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. You got it, John?
I think so.
Okay. So the Gemara says, "In ken mata munoma lo tochal alav chametz v'shashi yeshno bikum chon matzah." So what does the pasuk say? Don't eat chametz. What does it mean? Don't eat chametz. Don't eat chametz when you have a mitzvah to eat matzah. Yeshno beval tochal chametz. When you have a mitzvah to eat chametz at night, don't eat matzah at night. Don't eat chametz. If you don't have the mitzvah, there's no problem. B'shah she'enu bikum chon matzah enu bichlal. When you have no mitzvah to eat matzah, there's no problem to eat chametz. We just repeat that one more time. We want to know, is there a prohibition, a lo ta'aseh, getting makot, of eating chametz from Erev Pesach 1 p.m. and onward? Rabbi Yehuda says yes, and Rabbi Shimon says no. Where does Rabbi Yehuda say? Because we have one pasuk says, Korban Pesach, don't eat chametz, eat matzot. So Rabbi Yehuda says, Korban Pesach, that's when you're shechting it, don't eat chametz. Don't eat chametz at that time. We're going to see what he does with the eating matzot later. Rabbi Shimon says no. The Korban Pesach, when you're eating the Korban Pesach, don't eat chametz, eat matzah. When you have a mitzvah to eat matzah, that's when you should not eat chametz. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, there's no lo ta'aseh of eating chametz erev Pesach. The Gemara continues.
Rabbi Yehuda is referring to the time to
Shechting.
But eliminating to go to slide in with the chametz to the seder, correct?
Say again.
You want to avoid to get people to slide in with the.
He's saying it's a good spot where the Torah will say that. Why is the Torah saying don't do that? Could be a good answer. The Gemara says, "My time with Rabbi Yehuda." Where does Rabbi Yehuda come from that it's a sur before Pesach, during Pesach, after Pesach? Where does he learn it from? He says there's 3 psukim. Tilata kira'e ketiv. There's 3 psukim. We just read one of them, and there's another that says lo yacher chametz. Please read the pasuk together with me. Torah or bet. Vayomer Moshe. This is in Shemot Yud. Vayomer. The pasuk we read just before is in Dvarim Tetzai. Vayomer Moshe el ha'am. Moshe says to the nation, Zachor et hayom hazeh. You read it every day with your tefillin. Asher yitzat mitzrayim mibeit avedim. Ki b'chosek yad hotzi Hashem etchem mizeh velo yacher chametz. Another pasuk saying not eat chametz. V'kol machmetzet lo chametz. V'kol machmetz v'lo tochlu chametz. Lo tochlu. Another pasuk. Look at Gimel, please. Kol machmetzet lo tochlu. V'kol moshevoterem tochlu matzot. Do not eat machmetzet. Machmetzet also is like chametz, but it's a funny way of saying it. And the third pasuk is lo tochal alav hametz, and we just read that pasuk before in Aleph. So since we have 3 psukim speaking about not having chametz, so the chad bifnei zmano, the chad nachal zmano, the chad toch zmano. So it's very simple. 3 psukim. So one is going to be before Pesach, one's going to be after Pesach, one's during Pesach. 3 psukim, not the chametz. 1 and 3 psukim. What does Rabbi Shimon do with that? Because Rabbi Shimon says it's only problem on Pesach. Before Pesach and Pesach, there's no problem. What does he do with the 3 psukim? 2 extra psukim for Rabbi Shimon. The Rabbi Shimon chad letok zmano. One is for during Pesach. The kol machmetzet. You know what he does with the pasuk kol machmetzet? Mibayit the Tanya. We have a braita. En yeda shenitchametz me'elav mechamad dvar acher menayin. We know if the bread, if you left it unknown, becomes chametz. Okay, but how do I know if you made it become chametz from something else? Not with yeast, because that's for sure mixing chametz. It's, let's say, yashim reyayin. You know that little, Tosfot says that you can have dregs of wine. You know the bottom wine, our wine is filtered. But the real wine, you have at the bottom sediments. Those sediments can make chametz. How do we know that even that is going to be a problem? It says, kol machmetzet. Kol machmetzet lo tochlu. Kol machmetzet lo tochlu.
Is there a link between chamutz and chametz?
Chamutz?
Chamutzim, like
Chamutzin means like something that is
Vinegar.
vinegar.
Chamutzin is like
Yeah.
invariant.
Vinegar.
yeah. So is there a link in the words? Like it's the same.
I could think of a reason why we could
So now you're saying wine, and then you're saying chametz, and like it's bringing them all.
chametz. So chamutz means it takes time for it to get to this. You know, you gotta marinate something. When you
It's marinated.
marinate, so it takes time to become. Maybe you could say like that.
That's what
It takes-
bloom bright rises also takes time, so maybe they're all
Exactly.
Like that
Since
way.
it takes time, I would say like that. If we could say. Okay. I'm reading the psuki. Any yada shinchametz me'elav mechamad davar acher menayin tamunu ma kol machmetzet. So he uses the pasuk for something else. The lo tochlu lo yacher chametz. And what do we do with the third pasuk? Lo yacher chametz. Mi'evah legetanya. Rabbi Yossi Agilin omer minayin lepesach Mitzrayim she'en chimutzo noeg ele yom echad. Did you know that according to Rabbi Yossi Agilini, when they left Mitzrayim, it wasn't 7 days. It was 1 day of not eating chametz. How do we know? Talmud Omar lo yachal chametz v'samich le'ayom atem yotzim. Louis, please look at pasuk bet and pasuk daled together. Let's read pasuk bet together again. Vayom Moshe Rab, zachot hayom hazeh, shetzah Mitzrayim, et avadim, ki b'chos yad hotzi Hashem itchem mizor lo yachal chametz. And then the next pasuk, which is daled, which is really Shemot Yud Gimel daled, we just read Shemot Yud Gimel Gimel. The next pasuk is hayom atem yotzim b'chodesh aviv. Lo yachal chametz hayom. So you can read the two psukim together. Lo yachal chametz hayom. On that day that they left, it was only 1 day, it wasn't 7 days. So since Rabbi Shimon uses one pasuk for chimutz, one pasuk for Pesach, that was only 1 day, so he only has one pasuk of nani chametz, and that's in the 7 days. So he has nothing to tell you the day before and nothing to tell you the day after. We just saw 3 psukim. One says, three times it says don't eat chametz. One is the language of kol machmetzet. Rabbi, you were talking with your friend.
No,
Yes.
I was not talking. The question, it's the Torah is clear that it says during 7 days you don't eat chametz.
Yeah.
Why is he using the pasuk only talking about the we came out in 1 day?
Because we just read the 3 psukim. We read the 3 psukim, and Rabbi Yehuda says if your one pasuk is for before Pesach, there's 3 psukim which says don't eat chametz. One pasuk says the day before Pesach. One pasuk is for before Pesach. One is for during Pesach. One is for after Pesach. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. So therefore you have a lot say before, during, and after. Good? Got it, Shaul? And now, what is Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Shimon says not like that. Rabbi Shaul says only on Pesach it's asur. But there's 3 psukim. I want you to understand this. There's 3 psukim saying not eat chametz. You got it? 3 psukim. So Rabbi Yehuda says good. One before, during, and after. So what do we do? Rabbi Shimon says no. There's only asur only on Pesach. So what do you do with before and after? Very simple. Look well at the psukim. I want to have 2 different things to learn from them. One is to learn that even if it becomes chametz through wine, it becomes chametz. You might have thought, no, only water makes chametz. Even shimrei yain makes chametz. How does that work? Because it says kol machmetzet. Kol machmetzet. Don't eat machmetzet. Machmetzet is something. So it doesn't say don't eat chametz. Kol machmetzet. Something that makes chametz. Second, there's a hekesh, there's a smichut between 2 psukim. It says lo yechal chametz, and the next pasuk says hayom atem yotzim. So Rabbi Yossi Agili says, on the day that 3rd pasuk is talking about, which you read it every day, it's in your tefillin. It says over there, lo zachot hayom. Remember that day that you left. V'lo yachal chametz hayom atem yotzim. So the Rabbi Yossi Agili says the smichut between psukim says don't eat chametz only on that day. In Mitzrayim, that was a command that the Torah gave to not eat chametz only on 1 day. So that's the way that Rabbi Shimon learns. If Rabbi Shimon learns like that, therefore you have Pesach itself is asur, and then the other 2 psukim are used for something else.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Very good. So that's how Rabbi Shimon learns. The Gemara is going to say we'll just do another few minutes. Give me 3 more minutes, and we'll get to where we have to get to the dot. And the Gemara says, the Rabbi Yehuda, but Rabbi Yehuda, what do we do with those 2 psukim? Rabbi Yehuda mechamad davar acher minale. How do we know that also wine could become mekir chametz? Mede'avkir chman b'shon machmetzet. It's true that, and this is a very hard svara. Since it's not written here anywhere, I read it this morning how it works. But since the Torah calls it machmetzet, it could have called it something else. So we're still going to use that. Maybe it says over there
Oh,
something.
it's a leading agent.
Yeah, but what's the limud over here?
But here's
What is it saying there?
no, it's Machmetzet implies something that is not pure chametz, but rather a mixture that contains chametz.
Yeah, but
You know, there's
you know
expounds
that.
that this refers to even a dough that became chametz through the addition of something else.
It's not pure chametz, but rather
No,
mixture
it's-
that can-
Okay, he's just saying, but what the problem is, it sounds exactly like Rabbi Shimon. Since the Torah called it machmetzet, it's learning two things. Okay, that's what it was.
It's really the addition of something else. The leading transpose of finding without the according to the
Okay, we're gonna hold this for tomorrow. Bizrat Hashem. I'm gonna have to check this up again. We'll hold it for tomorrow. Chazak Uba.